Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Noah Scher, and today I'm joined by Nikki Diddens, owner of Balanced Numbers. With over 20 years of experience in accounting and finance, Nikki's built a reputation for precision, clarity, and helping small businesses keep their financials in order. Nikki, very excited to have you on today.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, anytime. So I'd love to dive right in, Nikki. You've been in the accounting world for over 2 decades. What inspired you to found Balanced Numbers, and how did your experience shape the vision for the firm?
So I started college for accounting when my kids were little. And so I worked out of the home when I first started. And then I worked remotely for a company. And then over the years, just the balance between family life and work and being able to control more of what the client experiences, I decided to go out on my own and form Balanced Numbers.
Amazing. Was there like a specific moment where you were kind of like, hey, I'm going to go all in on this, or was it just a culmination of things over time?
I think it was I recently became a grandmother, and so that balance work and home life was a key factor there. My grandson was a key factor. So a lot of accounting firms are now moving a lot of their workload overseas and outsourcing it. And to me, I feel that the best experience for my clients and the people I work with and the small businesses I work with is more of a one-on-one. So I want to do their bookkeeping. I want to do their financial reports. I want to sit down with the business owner. And I strongly believe to be fully knowledgeable, you need to do the books, you need to do the work, you need to interact with the clients, you need to understand all the accounts. So that was also a big factor with going out on my own.
Totally, yeah. I mean, especially in this landscape, there's so much, just dumping reports on people and not making them understand what it means and whatnot. So I like that approach. Kind of building on top of that, you work obviously with a lot of small business owners. What are some of the most common financial mistakes that you see them make, or operational mistakes early on?
So probably the number one mistake when most of my clients come on is that they don't pay attention to their finances. And so it's more of that year end, getting ready for their CPA or their tax accountant. And so I've heard a lot of owners say, well, there's money in the bank. So teaching business owners to read their profit and loss and their balance sheet and help kind of set up a budget and prepare them for what's coming forward, I think is probably the biggest mistake I see with a lot of small business owners, because business owners know what their line of work is, but they didn't sign up for accounting. So they don't know the numbers. They don't understand the numbers. So unless the bank is asking or their CPA, their tax account is asking, they normally kind of just fly by the seat of their pants. So that's probably the biggest thing I see. And then the next would probably be intertwining business and personal. So I really try to have them not do that because it makes it easier for me as a bookkeeper, but also just better business practice to separate business and personal.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, I absolutely agree with what you say there. There's a lot of business owners who are great at what they do, but they kind of look at the accounting and bookkeeping side of things as kind of like an afterthought, even though it's a huge portion of the business. So what is your approach, I guess, to kind of keeping everything, clean and clear, and how do you guys help them fix that up?
So right now I currently work with QuickBooks and Xero, which are both wonderful platforms, but it's literally going in at least once a week, normally 2 or 3 times a week, and uploading all the bank transactions and going through them, reaching out to any of the owners of anything that stands out so we're able to catch fraud sooner. And honestly, that happens more now than it ever has with credit cards and debit cards and people traveling more for business. And so we really just do a hands-on approach and kind of dive in and ask the clients what their needs are and what their concerns are. And then we kind of really keep an eye on those accounts. So it's honestly just going in every week and making sure everything looks right, reaching out to the owners if there's anything that looks odd or stands out.
Yeah.
And then meeting with them monthly and going over everything and making sure, because once again, these business owners really do know their business and what they should be making or what they think they've made in a month, even when they're not dialed into the numbers.
hmm
They're going to say, well, I thought that was higher last year or last month than this, than what you're showing. So then we can really dive in. And then I also try to get them familiar with QuickBooks a little bit so they can go in and also be viewing that and
Yeah.
kind of looking at things and making sure everything looks right throughout the month.
But if you could just tell us a little bit about your background and everything like that before you founded the business.
Yep. So my background, like I said, I have an accounting degree, and actually was in business administration with an emphasis in accounting and finance. And then when I was done there, I went and ran the office and did all the accounting for a fairly decent sized company. I did that for quite a few years. And then I moved over to a larger company and did just their payroll. And then I went more remote work. So when I went remote work, it's working with, I worked anywhere between 20 to 40 clients at a time and from very different fields. The clients I work with are normally service based. I do have one e-commerce client, but just really diving in and getting into the different fields and the different types of clients and industries was very helpful.
Yeah.
And then also really learn the new way of doing everything through QBO and online and managing all that. That has really helped me get to where I am today too.
Absolutely. Yeah. Everlasting journey and always continuous learning. Totally.
Yes.
So that actually ties into my next question is in this landscape, the industry is changing very fast, whether that's with new technology or, different laws that are being imposed and whatnot. So what's your take on, how the space is evolving and what do you think that firm owners they need to pay attention to and stay on top of?
So the two biggest things I see in our field on top of the laws that are always changing is you have to constantly be taking classes and educating yourself, but it's the outsourcing and then it's of course the AI. So actually this week I took 3 different classes on AI, and I know a common fear in my industry is most accountants thought and bookkeepers thought that AI was going to replace them. And the technology just is not there yet. And I don't really see that ever being the problem, but being able to utilize it in a way that helps us be more efficient, which also helps lower the client's costs, which is always beneficial. And I know the gap between accountants and clients normally is we talk accountant and they're like, I don't even know what you said.
Yeah.
So using ChatGPT to say, how do I explain this in layman terms? That is a really cool feature. But yeah, the two biggest things that everyone is talking about, I mean, if you're on any kind of accounting, is the ChatGPT and the outsourcing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, a lot of people, I come from a line of CPAs and accountants and bookkeepers and whatnot, and their biggest fear was, hey, we're going to become obsolete. My business is going to go under. This AI's machine's going to take over everything. And I don't see that ever happening as well. It's all about leveraging it and using it as a tool, right? The same way that when
It's
the
a tool.
internet came out, a lot of
Yeah,
firms were
it's
hesitant to using it, and a lot of businesses thought, it was going to make them obsolete, but it's a tool and it evolved things. So kind of acknowledging that and realizing that I think we'll have an even bigger growth in AI. Once we kind of get over this fear, we'll be able to use it to help us and improve our lives even more. And obviously there's, downsides to it as well, like with everything, but kind of being able to navigate it is a skill itself. So do you think this resistance to AI and the new technology, is it more from a lack of not knowing what it is or just like a hesitation to all technology?
I honestly think it's more fear-based.
Yeah.
I think a lot of accountants, like you said, are scared, and bookkeepers that, especially entry-level accountants and bookkeepers, are scared that that's going to take away their jobs. And to me, that's one, like I said, one of the reasons I went out on my own. And it's not just for the outsourcing; it's also for this reason. If you want people to grow in our field, then you have to have those entry-level jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And even if it is working with the AI, but because the AI is important and it's something that you have to get educated on and learn how it benefits you and how you want to use it in your company. But you also have to look at the human touch of things, because as a business owner, I don't want to call the bank and talk to an automated line. I want to talk to a person when I have a question. And
Mm-hmm.
so I don't think it's going to take jobs, but I think it's definitely going to help our field become more efficient.
Yeah, I could not have said that better myself. It's not going to replace anyone. Just people are going to, the people who are using it are going to replace the ones that are refusing to, is the mindset that we take. So, Nikki, you've helped a lot of business owners through the years. What's one of the biggest lessons you've learned, I guess, about running a firm and guiding clients through financial challenges?
I think the biggest thing I've learned is it really does come down to human relationship. When you're turning your books and your personal, I mean, because most businesses owners, their businesses are their babies. It is very personal to them. And so they want you to be transparent. They want you to be honest. Human error is an honest thing. And as much as I would like to be perfect, I'm not. But when you make those errors, you have to call the client. You don't try to hide them. You really are transparent with them, explain what happened, why it happened, and the resolution to make sure that it doesn't happen again.
Yeah.
And I really think the biggest thing is just being very transparent and honestly building the relationships with the business owners and making sure it's a right fit between the bookkeeping firm, accounting firm, and that business owner.
Yeah, and that's very good advice, and that's something that I think a lot of people say, but not a lot of people practice. Is kind of that relationship part of it, and like long term partnership. A lot of people, are just trying to be vendors and don't want to, explain things and just want to sell their service and walk away. And that may work in the short term, but long term, that's not going to be sustainable. So great advice there. Is that kind of derived from a more mindset shift? Do you think that like small business owners need to take, and what type of mindset do you try to give your clients to kind of help them understand the financials and whatnot?
So the mindset when I onboard new clients, it's really that it's a partnership and that they have to be very comfortable with me and I need to be very comfortable with them. It is a match. I don't take on all new clients if it's not a match. I can definitely refer them to people that I think would better fit their needs, but that it is a partnership and that they're going to get what they put into it. So meeting monthly is important. Going over the financials are important. We're catching any errors, we're understanding, and I'm growing with them also. So I understand because when you sit down and talk about financials, it's not just talking about the numbers. It's also talking about what has happened in the last month with their business, what their fears are, what their wins are, and celebrating the wins and helping them navigate through their fears and the challenges that they have.
Yeah, that's absolutely golden advice. I wish more firms would hear that because, a lot of firms in the accounting space, unfortunately, they just deliver, like we were talking on earlier, they just deliver reports and don't, translate anything. And so for someone like you, Nikki, who understands all the financials, it may be easy to understand, but, for a lot of small business owners, it's just jargon that they don't understand. So that's a great approach there. Quick question. I know you work with a lot of small businesses. Have you guys been seeing any, impacts from the tariffs or anything like that?
Well, I think the tariffs have kind of impacted everyone. I think everyone, once again, it's that fear base, right? Prices are going up and people are scared of how long they can make it. If they can't get products or, if things are taking longer to get to them, it makes people unhappy. Service based when you're ordering parts, when my clients are ordering parts, those parts take longer. It makes their customers mad, and they have to raise their prices. And so I think we're going to see a shift of people being very cautious on what they spend. And as I know, as an American, as being in the United States, I've never really had to worry about that. We kind of are very, I don't know, not very cautious with our money a lot of times.
Yeah.
People, we're self-gratifying, I think is what I'm thinking. People want it, they go out and buy it right away.
Mhm.
Where I do see people are waiting longer and, those purchases, I know there was purchases before the tariffs kicked in, like, okay, we're going to buy these now and hopefully that we'll get by for 3 to 6 months. So I do think we're going to see the trend where people are a lot more cautious with their money and that prices are going to go up again. And it's going to hurt a lot of small businesses.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's so true. I mean, it does impact everyone. And we don't even know like the repercussions of what it'll look like long term and how it'll affect things. So, just staying prepared, I guess, and having a trusted financial advisor is probably the best move at this point. Um, Nikki, where are you looking to take the business balance numbers, the next 3 to 5 years? Are you looking to kind of maintain what you guys have? Are you in growth mode? Or what are your plans for that?
I'm in growth mode right now.
Yeah.
I would kind of like to double the amount of clients I have right now. And then if I need to, I can always bring someone else on. But honestly, as far as how big I want to get in 3 to 5 years, I'm not sure. I don't know if I want to take on I don't know if I want to have employees, if I just want to keep it small in between me and the clients. So that's kind of up in the air right now. I know I want to at least double my books. I have the capacity to do that myself. And then we'll see where it goes from there. If I keep getting amazing clients that want to come on, then I have no problem hiring someone, bringing them on and getting the help that I need.
Absolutely. No, I love to hear that. And I have no doubt that you guys will continue to grow. Last question for you, Nikki, is what is one piece, and I like to ask this to every single guest, is what is one piece of advice that you would give to someone who maybe just graduated college and wants to eventually start their own business, but has no idea where to start and, is overwhelmed in this world that we're in with everything that's so crazy, and has a lot of hesitation. So what would you say to someone?
I think the biggest thing when starting your own business is first know that it takes time. So make sure that you have the funding to give it 6 months, because most people, when they first start out, it does start slowly and then slowly builds. Also, make sure that you reach out to an accountant and a lawyer to make sure all your bases are covered, that you know what taxes are going to be, the filing fees, all of those items that come into getting started up can get pricey. And then second of all, lead with your heart, go for it and put everything you have into it. And I'm sure it'll be a good decision.
Great advice. I love that. Where can the audience find you, Nikki, if they want to, reach out to learn a little bit more about your business and your services or connect with you?
They can reach me at nikki@balancednumbersllc.net. And I just got a new phone number. Or they can reach out to me at 815-200-9285. And they can also reach out to me in LinkedIn at Balanced Numbers LLC.
Perfect. Well, we'll make sure to link everything in the show notes. So if anyone's interested in reaching out to Nikki and seeing what she could do for you guys, please do so. And thank you, Nikki. This was a great conversation, and I look forward to seeing where you guys go with your business.
All right. Thank you, Noah.
Of course. We'll see you guys in the next one.